Oh my goodness, it actually happened. Now, nothing I say is financial advice, but Onyx has officially announced that the Goliath mainnet is live. And of course, Goliath is their layer 1 blockchain for the world of finance. So of course, I think this right here is such a big victory when it comes to Onyx, and I think it's a good step for it moving forward, because I think it's actually the greatest thing that's actually ever happened to Onyx so far in terms of a fundamental accomplishment. I think it's the best so far. Could they outdo themselves? Maybe. But this has been really impressive in my opinion, and it's been a long time coming because, again, a lot of people thought that, is it really going to happen? We heard a lot of talks about it last year. They launched the testnet last year, and they were saying that they were going to kind of, launch the mainnet this year in 2026, and they actually did it. So I think this right here, first of all, shows their kind of commitment, right? Furthermore, I think it also showcases that the project isn't necessarily struggling in a sense where other projects out there, they can't really do any of this type of stuff anymore. Now, it's going to depend on the nature of the project, right? But I know some projects out there that are heavily led by like a team or something like that. Some of them have kind of shut down, basically, in a sense where they've stopped operations. Now, the token is still there, but the project is no more. They're not doing anything anymore. And a lot of the reason why is because of the market downturn, right? A lot of them just can't, maintain that sort of overhead anymore. They can't maintain the team anymore. So when the market doesn't do good, what happens? The project just simply can't continue. I've seen that in some cases. Now, Onyx, it's a little bit of a different case, but at least when I take a look at something like this, I do find it to be pretty cool and pretty interesting. So I do like seeing this, again, overall. And keep in mind, right, when it comes to Goliath, it is going to be seamlessly integrated into the Onyx app alongside native XCN Ethereum ERC20 support. So I think this right here is, again, just a really cool thing overall when it comes to Onyx, and I think such a major victory because, again, if they're sticking by their word when it comes to this, and they clearly did, I think it sets a good tone when it comes to Onyx. Now, did it do much to the price of XCN? No, sir, it did not, because XCN is still really low, actually, comparatively to where it once was not too long ago. And actually, the market cap as of right now, still below 200 million. So people will probably tell me, oh, this mainnet launch of Goliath didn't do anything to the price of XCN. Yeah, it didn't really do anything. If anything, it actually went a little bit lower, in my opinion, despite a very small kind of movement upwards when it was announced, but didn't really do much. Now there's a pullback, generally speaking, in the past 24 hours. But here's the thing. The way you take a look at it is that this type of stuff right here, it's more of a long-term thing. Like, again, launching the mainnet of Goliath, it may not matter right now because the sentiment isn't the best, but it could matter later on. So I do like this, and it's a good step in the right direction. If Onyx wants better adoption, if it wants better recognizability, also on top of that, if it just wants, I think, better activity overall when it comes to the project, launching the mainnet of Goliath is such a massive step in the right direction. And I think it's a correct step, actually, because if they didn't do this, having future adoption and all that, it's going to be increasingly a little bit more difficult. So I think this right here is good for its future maybe adoption, right? But we'll wait and see. However, the building blocks, they're usually built before and then after we see what happens as a result of that, right? It's like, for instance, if I get like a sandwich at Jimmy John's, the work is done before, but then once they actually make it, then there's the complete package, There's the greatest of all time menu selection, which is Turkey Tom. But yeah, besides that point though, I just thought that when it comes to this, the analogy is kind of the same. The prep work is done before. So when they launch Goliath and the mainnet, guess what could happen, right? If a lot of developers do care about this and they start, building or whatever, what happens usually? If whatever they build gains traction, then inherently the popularity will increase, right? If popularity increases, then, the attention could increase as well, in a sense where if, let's say, that is the case, if there is better adoption as a result of this, that could only be a good thing, I think, when it comes to the future of Onyx. It just kind of elevates it, right? So as of right now, the way I view it is When it comes to this, it's such a massive achievement. However, here's the ridiculous thing in my opinion, and I think what I'm about to say really highlights kind of the nature of this space, right? Like for instance, XCN reached around $1 billion in terms of market cap last year. So it's not like we saw it so long ago, even though we've seen XCN reach higher than that historically speaking, but still, the last time we saw that was last year, right? Around $1 billion in terms of market cap in 2025. But let's just think about this. What's better fundamentally when it comes to Onyx? Was it better back in early 2025 or right now? Arguably, I think right now it's way better than before. When XCN actually reached around $1 billion in terms of market cap last year, there wasn't the mainnet launch of Goliath. There just simply wasn't, right? But still, it was doing way better before. What does that showcase, in my opinion? I think, first of all, it showcases that the charts don't always reflect the fundamentals. And second of all, I think it showcases just how, if again, a project is having a pullback, it doesn't mean like if it's having a 10% pullback, the project became like 10% worse or something like that. At least in every single case, I don't think that is the case. So when I take a look at XCN, yeah, it's having a pullback, but so is its closest competitor called ZBCN, or should I say ZEBIC. So is XDC, XLM, and so on. It's not only just XCN. So it's really nothing that surprising to me, but if anything, XCN became cheaper from last year, yet the fundamentals improved. Yeah, I will complain 0%, right, when it comes to that, because I actually like that $4 cost averaging reasons for accumulation. However, here's the thing. If let's say there is no altcoin season, let's say the sentiment just returns back to early last year, what could happen when it comes to XCN now that it has the mainnet of Goliath? If before it was able to reach around $1 billion, now that we do see the mainnet launch of Goliath moving forward, if let's say the sentiment could go back to that point, if it exceeded $1 billion in terms of market cap, it wouldn't necessarily, I think, surprise me, but only time will tell. I mean, I cannot control the future. However, if I take a look at it, XCN is over 5 times lower than $1 billion in terms of market cap. So if it could just go back there, maybe, I'm already going to Sizzler. But even besides that point, though, keep in mind, XCN has approximately 145,000 holders. So when people like to tell me that no one cares about this project, well, I'm assuming at least over 100,000 people do. You know, maybe not every single person out there in the world cares about how well Onyx is doing, but I think that when it comes to, you know, the amount of holders at around 145,000, I'm assuming at least that many care when it comes to XCN. So again, when I take a look at something like this, I think it's been a major victory when it comes to Onyx. And when people like to tell me that, oh, that's not a good victory, well, what else could they point to, really, in terms of the existence of Onyx when it comes to their accomplishments? Isn't this arguably the biggest? So when I take a look at this, I really do believe it's the greatest thing they've done so far. Maybe they could outdo themselves moving forward, but so far this has been the biggest thing, and I'll be sure to make more updates. So hopefully y'all stay tuned for future upcoming videos. Thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.